there are three main parts to the special education process. The first would be the referral, so gathering information about your own suspicions as a parent about why your child's not accessing the same information as every other child in the same way, and to the extent that that adversely affects them, what are the kinds of things that are concerning you. So it's important in the referral process to document the kinds of things that are making you suspicious that your child's not learning like everybody else and is not getting the same information as everybody else. The second part of that, which comes from the referral, is the evaluation. The evaluation has two purposes: to determine eligibility for the student under the federal categories of disability, and to identify the strengths and needs of the student so that an instructional program under the Individualized Education Program can be developed. It's important to make sure that the evaluation covers all areas of a student's needs. Pay attention to the district's evaluation form to make sure that the evaluation will be comprehensive in each area that you may be concerned about. Evaluation areas might include the health, physical, and mental status of your child, vision, hearing, social and emotional health, general intelligence and cognitive ability, academic achievement, communication, speech and language, and motor abilities. Sometimes the school district will seek an outside expert to help them complete their evaluation. Those costs should be paid for by the district. In addition, if you disagree with the results or the scope of the evaluation, you as a parent can request an independent educational evaluation at the expense of the school district. These kinds of evaluations are sometimes very important to help the team see your child in a slightly different light. You want to make sure that the professionals that are evaluating your child really get a lot of good information about how they're learning, how much they're learning, if they're not learning, and what might be interfering with learning. Because that evaluation is the basis upon which we develop an individualized educational plan. And so it's important that we capture as much as we can in the evaluation process about what we might need to do differently and how your child's disability is impacting them. Back in the day, we used to get really caught up with just the label. So we would make sure that we understood the label that your child was under, what was the name of their disability and parts of their diagnosis, and we found that that's not as important to developing an instructional program as the very specific information about how they learn. In addition, if you disagree with the results or the scope of the evaluation, you as a parent can request an independent educational evaluation at the expense of the school district.
We requested an independent education evaluation and the district agreed to do that. And that was kind of a good opportunity for us to kind of put it out of our hands and take the pressure off of, like, you know, I was talking about somebody has to win. Like, it wasn't any longer about that ego because it was in someone else's hands for them to evaluate my son and look at his needs and come back with recommendations. And thankfully she was really neutral to the point that I had no idea how it was going to turn out or what she was going to recommend, but I knew through the process I had confidence that whatever she recommended would be the right thing for my son. And it ended up that she did make recommendations similar and a little bit beyond what we had asked for.
The third part of the process is developing an individualized educational program. And that can feel a little bogged down because there's this process that the teachers are used to going through. IEP Online is used in most school districts in Washington State. And for a lot of parents, that can be intimidating. We have to go through the forms in a certain order and we have to check certain boxes. But the IEP process is much more than just a compliance exercise. It's important that the IEP process remain focused on what really good information do we get through evaluation that we now need to carry into how we instruct the child. What kinds of priorities and targets for goals and objectives are we going to have? And what kinds of people and how often should come in and then instruct your child? And in what environments will that instruction take place? So does it need to take place and can it take place in the general education classroom with other children around and with other distractions? Or do we need this specialized environment for a very specific period of time to get good instruction in a very specific way in order to maximize the chances that your child can return back to the general education classroom and engage in those same kinds of activities and that kind of learning with their peers and in the context of other curriculum if that's at all possible.
The hardest piece, I think, for any parent is what's the future going to be for my child? I don't have a crystal ball. There's a lot of things that are going to be drivers. What funding is going to look like, what services are going to be available beyond, when they turn 21, when they become adults, those kind of things. And that's going to affect a lot of things. But in the meantime, what do you see as the future? You're going to have to come up with something and then look at, are there some intermediate steps that I can work toward, kind of things. But also be ready to readjust as needed. And you're going to have an open mind for that, because things do change. Kids do change.